What if a 10-year-old girl fixing a broken car could bring down $1 billion empire? What if a simple ring held secrets powerful enough to change everything? Before we dive into this incredible story, please hit that like button, share this with someone who loves amazing tales, and subscribe to Viral Tales for more stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. And tell us in the comments, where are you watching from? We absolutely love hearing from you. The sun blazed down on the dusty road as Zara Williams walked home from school. Her backpack bounced against her shoulders with every step. She was hot, tired, and thinking about the cold lemonade waiting for her at home. But then she saw something that made her stop. A shiny red car sat on the side of the road. Its hood was up like a giant mouth yawning at the sky. The car was the kind Zara had only seen in magazines. So fancy, so perfect, so expensive. A man in a dark suit paced back and forth beside the car. He was shouting into his phone, waving his free hand in the air like he was swatting invisible flies. "I don't care what it costs," the man yelled. "Send someone now. I've been stuck here for 2 hours. 2 hours. I have a meeting with the governor in less than 3 hours." Zara bit her lip. Her Aunt Maria always told her not to talk to strangers, especially strangers who looked like they came from a completely different world. Their little neighborhood was quiet and simple. Nobody here wore suits that probably cost more than a year's rent. But something made Zara's feet move forward. Maybe it was the desperate look on the man's face. Maybe it was curiosity. Or maybe it was because she knew she could help. "Excuse me, mister," Zara called out softly. The man spun around. His face was red and sweaty. When he saw Zara, his angry expression changed. He looked at her up and down. Her worn sneakers, her faded shorts, her oversized shirt with a Science Museum logo. He didn't look impressed. "Yes?" he said, trying to sound polite but clearly annoyed. "Your car. Do you need help?" The man almost laughed. "That's sweet, kid, but this is a very special car. Very complicated. I need a real mechanic." Zara shrugged and stepped closer. "My Uncle Ray owns a garage. He's been teaching me about cars since I was really little. I know a lot about engines. Can I just look?" Before the man could say no, Zara had already dropped her backpack and was peering under the hood. Her eyes moved quickly across the engine, looking at every part like she was reading a favorite book. "When did it stop working?" she asked. The man sighed. He checked his fancy gold watch. "About 40 minutes ago. The engine got really hot, and then it just died." "Did you smell something sweet? Like pancake syrup?" The man blinked in surprise. "Actually, yes." "How did you know that?" Zara pointed to a small puddle under the car. "Your cooling system is leaking. See that green liquid? That's coolant. When your car loses coolant, the engine gets too hot and stops working." The man stared at her. Really stared. Like he was seeing her for the first time. "What's your name?" he asked suddenly. Zara Williams." She held out her hand. It had smudges of grease from touching the engine. The man hesitated, then shook her hand gently. "Benjamin Hartley. Nice to meet you." "Nice to meet you too, Mr. Hartley. I think I can fix this. At least enough to get you to town." Zara opened her backpack and pulled out a small metal box. Inside were tools, tape, and other supplies. "Uncle Ray makes me carry this everywhere. He says you never know when someone might need help." Benjamin watched, completely amazed, as this 10-year-old girl found a leak in the radiator hose and wrapped it with special tape. Her small fingers moved with confidence. She knew exactly what she was doing. "This should hold until you reach a real garage," Zara explained. "But you need to add water to replace what leaked out." She reached up to brush her braids away from her face. That's when it happened. Benjamin saw the ring. It was on Zara's finger. Too big for her small hand, held in place with string wrapped around the band. But the stone caught the sunlight and sparkled with a deep green color. An emerald. And inside that emerald, Benjamin could see a tiny pattern. A small crescent shape. His whole body went cold despite the heat. Benjamin knew that ring. He had given it away 12 years ago to a little girl in an orphanage called Bright Hope House. He remembered that day perfectly. The little girl had smiled when he put the ring in her tiny palm. He had promised her something important. a promise he never kept. That ring, Benjamin whispered, his voice shaking. Where did you get it? Zara looked down at her hand. It was my mom's. Well, my adoptive mom. Her name was Sarah. She died last year. Sadness filled Zara's eyes. She told me it was special, that it meant something important. But she never told me exactly what. Sarah, Benjamin repeated quietly. Do you know where she got the ring? Zara shook her head. She just said it belonged to someone who cared about me. Someone who wanted me to remember a promise. Benjamin's mind raced. His heart pounded. Could it really be? After all these years? Let me drive you home, he said quickly, to thank you for fixing my car. Zara hesitated. Stranger danger, Aunt Maria's voice echoed in her head. But something about Mr. Hartley seemed safe now. Desperate, maybe, but not dangerous. Okay, she agreed. During the 15-minute drive, Benjamin asked questions. Careful questions. Where did Zara go to school? How long had she lived here? Who did she live with now? I live with my Aunt Maria and Uncle Ray, Zara explained. They took me in when my mom died. Have you always lived here? Since I was 3. Before that, Zara paused. Mom didn't talk about it much. I know I was adopted from an orphanage called Bright Hope House. It closed down right after I left. Benjamin almost swerved the car off the road. Bright Hope House? Are you absolutely sure? Yes. Why? Did you know it? Benjamin gripped the steering wheel, so tight his knuckles turned white. I did, a very long time ago. They pulled up to a small but neat house with a garden full of flowers. Zara thanked him and opened the car door. Wait, Benjamin said, pulling a card from his wallet. Zara, if you ever need anything at all, please call me. Zara took the card and studied it. Benjamin Hartley, it said, Chief Executive Officer, Hartley Industries. You're really rich, aren't you? Zara asked with innocent honesty. Benjamin gave a sad smile. Yes, but money doesn't fix everything. Zara waved goodbye and ran toward her house, her backpack bouncing. The emerald ring caught the sunlight one more time, flashing like a signal. Benjamin sat in his car, watching her go. His hands trembled as he pulled out his phone and dialed a number. This is Hartley, he said when someone answered. I need you to investigate something. Everything you can find about a girl named Zara Williams, an orphanage called Bright Hope House, and what really happened 12 years ago. He paused, looking at the small house where Zara had disappeared inside. And find out what my father knew about all of this. What Zara didn't know, as she hugged her aunt and told her about the fancy car and the nice man, was that fixing that car had just changed everything. Secrets that had been buried for 12 years were about to explode into the light, and a simple ring was about to unlock a mystery bigger than anyone could imagine. Benjamin couldn't sleep. For 3 nights, he stared at pictures of the emerald ring. His private investigator had taken photos when Zara wasn't looking. Every time Benjamin looked at that tiny crescent shape inside the stone, his stomach twisted with guilt. He remembered giving that ring to little Zara at Bright Hope House. She had been so small, barely 3 years old. He had whispered a promise. I'll come back for you. I promise. But he never did. In his huge office at Hartley Industries, Benjamin spread papers across his massive desk, documents about Bright Hope House, old business deals, bank statements. The more he read, the sicker he felt. 12 years ago, his father, Richard Hartley, had bought the Bright Hope House property for almost nothing. The orphanage had closed suddenly. Something about money problems. The papers said, but Benjamin knew his father. Richard Hartley didn't do anything by accident. His assistant knocked on the door. Mr. Hartley, Mr. Collins from the legal department, is here about the Skyline Project documents. The Skyline Project. A huge fancy apartment building his company was building, and it was being built on the exact spot where Bright Hope House used to stand. Benjamin quickly hid the papers before Mr. Collins walked in. The Bright Hope House purchase documents are here, Mr. Collins said, dropping a thick folder on the desk. Though I'm not sure why we're looking at old business. Your father was very specific about keeping these locked up. My father is retired in Florida, Benjamin said coldly. I run this company now. After Mr. Collins left, Benjamin opened the folder. What he found made his blood run cold. Strange bank transfers, secret payments, and worst of all, a list of children from the orphanage. Next to some names were notes. Special talents. High value. Contact RH. All right, Richard Hartley, his father. Zara Williams' name was circled in red ink. Next to it, someone had written, Project 17, Exceptional Mechanical Aptitude, Priority Acquisition. Benjamin's phone rang. It was his investigator, Mr. Torres. I found information about Sarah Williams, Torres said. She died in a car accident last year. But here's the strange part. The police report says her brakes failed. But a mechanic who looked at the car later said the brake lines looked cut. Benjamin felt ice in his veins. What about the adoption records? That's the weird thing. There are no official adoption records. According to every government database, Zara Williams was never at Bright Hope House. It's like someone erased her completely. Find out everything about her aunt and uncle, Benjamin ordered. And Torres? Be careful. Someone might be watching. Meanwhile, across town, Zara was in Uncle Ray's workshop behind their house. This was her favorite place in the whole world. Tools hung neatly on the walls. The smell of oil and metal filled the air. She was fixing an old radio from the 1960s. Did you get it working? Uncle Ray asked, walking in with 2 glasses of lemonade. Zara grinned and turned the radio on. Music filled the workshop. Just had to reconnect some wires and replace a tube. Uncle Ray ruffled her braids affectionately. You've got magic in those hands, kiddo. I've never seen anyone understand machines like you do. Uncle Ray, Zara said, twisting the emerald ring on her finger. That man I helped the other day, the one with the fancy car. He acted really strange when he saw Mom's ring, like he'd seen a ghost. Uncle Ray's smile disappeared. What man? Benjamin Hartley. He gave me his card. Zara showed him. He said if I ever needed anything, I should call him. Uncle Ray's face went pale. He looked toward the house and called out, Maria, you need to come here. Right now. Aunt Maria came running from the kitchen, worried. When she saw the business card, she grabbed the edge of the workbench like her legs might give out. Zara, honey, Aunt Maria said, her voice shaking. Remember when we promised to tell you the truth about your mom when you were old enough? Zara nodded slowly, suddenly scared. That time is now. They sat in the workshop as the sun began to set. Uncle Ray held Aunt Maria's hand. Both of them looked so sad, so worried. Your mother, Sarah, she worked at Bright Hope House as a nurse, Aunt Maria began. She loved all the children there, but she noticed something strange. Some children started disappearing. Not adopted, just gone. And the men who took the more expensive suits and drove fancy cars. Sarah started asking questions. Uncle Ray continued. She found secret files about something called Project Phoenix. It was a program to find children with special abilities. Children who were really smart or really creative, or like you, really good at fixing things. Zara's eyes went wide. Why would anyone want to do that? To use them, Aunt Maria said quietly. To make them work on secret projects. Military weapons. Technology. Things that would make powerful people even more powerful. When Sarah discovered the truth, she knew she had to save you, Uncle Ray said. One night, she packed a bag, took you, and ran. You were only 3. She changed both your names. You were supposed to be someone else, but Sarah gave you a new identity to keep you safe. Aunt Maria pulled out an old yellow envelope from her pocket. Your mother left this for you. She made us promise to only give it to you if anyone from the Hartley family ever found you. With shaking hands, Zara opened the envelope. Inside was a letter written in her mother's handwriting. My dearest Zara, she read aloud, if you're reading this, it means someone has found you. There are things you need to know about who you are and why we ran. The ring I gave you isn't just jewelry. It's proof. Inside the stone is a secret compartment. Turn it 3 times to the left, then twice to the right. Inside, you'll find something that can bring down the people who hurt so many children. Use it wisely. Use it bravely. I love you forever. Mom. Zara looked at the ring with new eyes. She twisted the emerald stone exactly as the letter said. With a tiny click, the stone popped open. Inside was a small device, no bigger than a grain of rice. "What is it?" she whispered. "A data storage chip," Uncle Ray said, his eyes wide. "Your mother was brilliant. She had evidence right under their noses all these years." At that exact moment, across town, Benjamin was meeting with his father. Richard Hartley had flown in from Florida without warning. His father's face was red with anger. "What's this about reviewing Bright Hope House documents?" Richard demanded. "That business is closed. Done. Why are you digging it up?" "I found Zara Williams' dad, the girl with the emerald ring." Richard's face went white as paper. "So what? Just another orphan. What matters is the Skyline Project. Billions of dollars are at stake. What was so special about those children?" Benjamin asked quietly. Richard laughed, but it was a mean, cold sound. "Don't you understand what we built? Some children are valuable. They have talents that can be exploited, used. That girl you're so worried about, she can look at any broken machine and understand it instantly. Do you know what the military would pay for that? What tech companies would pay? That's why you bought the orphanage." "That's why I bought 5 orphanages," Richard said with a cruel smile. Project Phoenix identified 48 children with special abilities over 15 years. Most of them are working for companies I secretly control right now. They don't even know they're being watched. Benjamin felt sick. And the ones who got away? Like Zara? Richard's smile faded. "Loose and get tied up. That nurse, Sarah Williams, should have minded her own business." "You killed her," Benjamin whispered. "I did what was necessary," Richard said coldly. "Just like I'll do what's necessary now that the girl has resurfaced." "Where is she?" But Benjamin had heard enough. He pressed a button on his phone under the desk. Everything his father had just said had been recorded. Outside, in a black car, Mr. Torres had been listening to everything. He immediately called federal prosecutor Lisa Chun. "You're going to want to hear this." Back at Zara's house, Uncle Ray was connecting the tiny chip from the ring to his computer. Files began to appear on the screen. Thousands of documents. Photos. Audio recordings. Video footage. "This is everything." Uncle Ray breathed. "Your mother documented everything. Names. Dates. Money transfers. Test results on children. This could put people in prison for life." A car pulled up outside. Through the window, they saw a black SUV. 2 men in suits got out, looking at their house. "They're here," Ann Maria whispered, terrified. But Uncle Ray was already dialing a number Sarah had left for emergencies. A reporter named James Mitchell, who had been investigating Project Phoenix for years. "It's about Bright Hope House," Uncle Ray said into the phone. "And a girl with an emerald ring. I have the proof you've been looking for." Zara looked at her aunt and uncle, then down at the ring on her finger. She was only 10 years old, but she understood something important. Sometimes even kids have to be brave. Sometimes even kids have to fight back. "We need to take this to Mr. Hartley," Zara said firmly. "The son, not the father. I think he wants to help. I could see it in his eyes." Outside, the men in suits were walking toward the house. Time was running out. The truth was about to explode. And Zara Williams, a 10-year-old girl who just wanted to fix broken things, was standing at the center of a storm that would shake the foundations of power itself. The question was, would the truth come out before the dangerous people silenced it forever? The knock on the door was loud and hard. Uncle Ray quickly unplugged the computer and grabbed the chip. Aunt Maria pulled Zara close. But the door burst open, and it wasn't the men in suits. It was Benjamin Hartley, breathing hard like he'd been running. "We need to go. Now," Benjamin said urgently. "My father knows where you are. Those men outside work for him." "How do we know we can trust you?" Uncle Ray demanded, stepping in front of Zara. Benjamin looked directly at Zara. "Because 12 years ago I made you a promise. I said I'd come back for you. I broke that promise. Let me keep it now. Zara studied his face. She had always been good at understanding things, not just machines, but people too. She saw the truth in his eyes. I trust him, Zara said. They ran out the back door just as the men in suits entered through the front. Benjamin's car was waiting in the alley. They all jumped in, and Benjamin drove fast through the narrow streets. Where are we going? And Maria asked, holding Zara tight. Somewhere public. Somewhere safe. Where the truth can come out and everyone will see it. 20 minutes later, they arrived at the Hartley Industries building. Benjamin led them not to his office, but to the huge conference room on the top floor. Inside, people were already waiting. Federal Prosecutor Lisa Chun, reporter James Mitchell with his camera, and Benjamin's entire board of directors, looking confused and worried. What's the meaning of this emergency meeting? One board member demanded. Benjamin connected his laptop to the giant screen on the wall. You're about to see why. The doors open again. Richard Hartley stormed in, his face twisted with rage. Benjamin, what do you think you're doing? Something I should have done 12 years ago, Dad. Telling the truth. Benjamin pressed play. The recording of his father's confession filled the room. Richard's voice admitting to Project Phoenix. Admitting to exploiting children. Admitting to murder. You recorded me? Richard shouted. That's illegal. It won't hold up in court. Maybe not, Prosecutor Lisa Chin said, stepping forward. But combined with other evidence, it will. That's when Zara walked to the front of the room. She looked so small next to all these powerful adults in their expensive clothes. But she stood tall. My name is Zara Williams, she said. Clearly, I was Project 17, and I have something you all need to see. She held up the emerald ring. With careful fingers, she opened the secret compartment and took out the tiny chip. Uncle Ray plugged it into Benjamin's computer. Files flooded the screen. Thousands of them. Photos of children being tested. Documents showing payments to doctors and scientists. Audio recordings of Richard Hartley discussing how to use children's talents for profit. Videos of secret meetings. This is impossible, Richard sputtered. Where did you get this? My mother, Zara said. Sarah Williams. The nurse you murdered because she tried to save me and the other children. She spent years collecting this evidence. She hid it in plain sight inside this ring, waiting for the day when someone would be brave enough to use it. James Mitchell's camera was recording everything. This is going out live right now, he announced, to our news station and directly to social media. 20,000 people are already watching. Richard Hartley's face changed from angry to scared. He looked at the doors, but security guards Benjamin had called were blocking them. It's over, Dad, Benjamin said quietly. No more hurting children. No more using people. No more running. Federal agents entered the room. Lisa Chin stepped forward with handcuffs. Richard Hartley, you're under arrest for conspiracy, exploitation of minors, bribery of public officials, and suspicion of murder. As they led Richard away, he looked at Zara with pure hatred. But Zara didn't look away. She stared right back at him. My mother taught me that broken machines can be fixed, Zara said calmly. But broken people have to choose to fix themselves. I hope you make that choice someday. The next few days were crazy. The story was everywhere, on every news channel, in every newspaper. Hartley Industries, stock dropped. Investigations opened into 5 different orphanages. More children who had been part of Project Phoenix came forward with their stories. Benjamin worked with the federal prosecutors, giving them everything he knew. He gave up his entire inheritance, every dollar, to create a fund for the victims. The board of directors removed him as CEO, but Benjamin didn't care. He had found something more important than money or power. 6 months later, on a bright Saturday morning, Zara stood in front of a new building. The sign above the door read, Williams Center for Young Innovators. It was built on the exact spot where Bright Hope House used to stand. But this time it was different. This time it was a place of hope, not exploitation. What do you think? Benjamin asked, standing beside her. He was wearing jeans and a regular shirt now, not fancy suits. "It's perfect," Zara said, smiling. The center would help kids from poor neighborhoods who had special talents. Kids who were really good at art or math or music, or like Zara, fixing things. They would get free classes, mentors, and opportunities. But most importantly, they would be free. No contracts, no secrets, no one using them. Uncle Ray became the head of the engineering program. Aunt Maria ran the front office. And Zara, even though she was still just a kid, became a mentor to younger children who wanted to learn about machines. Inside the center's main hallway, they had created a memorial wall, photos of all the children who had been part of Project Phoenix. In the center was a picture of Sarah Williams, smiling and holding 3-year-old Zara. "She would be so proud of you," Aunt Maria said, putting her arm around Zara. "I hope so," Zara whispered. Far away, in a gray prison cell, Richard Hartley sat alone. All his former friends had abandoned him. His company had removed his name from every building. His fortune was gone. He had lost everything. But the worst part wasn't the prison. It wasn't the loss of money or power. It was knowing that a 10-year-old girl had beaten him. A child he had tried to exploit had brought down his entire empire. 5 years passed. Zara grew into a confident 15-year-old. She had published 3 patents for new inventions. Universities were already fighting over who would get to have her as a student. But Zara wasn't in a hurry. She had important work to do at the Williams Center. On the center's 5th anniversary, hundreds of people gathered for a celebration. Children who had graduated from the program, families who had been helped, reporters who continued to follow the story. Zara stood at the podium to give a speech. The emerald ring still sparkled on her finger, no longer too big because she had grown into it. "When I was 10 years old," she began, "I stopped to help a stranger fix his car. That one small choice changed everything. It showed me that even small acts of kindness can start big changes." Benjamin watched from the audience, tears in his eyes. The man who had once been heir to a corrupt empire was now a teacher at the center, helping kids learn about business ethics and making good choices. "My mother used to say that broken things can be fixed," Zara continued. "But she also taught me that the best kind of fixing isn't just repairing what's broken. It's building something new and better from the pieces." She looked around at all the faces in the crowd. Children of every color. Kids from rich families and poor families. All of them learning together, growing together, dreaming together. That's what we've built here. Not just a school, not just a center, but a promise. A promise that every child deserves to be safe. That every talent deserves to grow. That every kid deserves the chance to be exactly who they're meant to be. The crowd erupted in applause. Zara smiled, twisting the ring on her finger. It no longer held secrets. Now it held something better. Hope. That evening, as the sun set over the Williams Center, Zara sat in her workshop. She was fixing a complicated machine that a local hospital had sent over. Her hands moved with confidence, understanding exactly what each part needed. Uncle Ray brought her a sandwich. "You should take a break, kiddo." "Just one more minute," Zara said, making a final adjustment. The machine whirred to life, working perfectly. "You know what I think?" Uncle Ray said, "Your mother would be amazed, not just because you're brilliant with machines, but because you chose to use your gift to help people." Zara looked at the photo of her mother she kept on her workbench. Sarah Williams, smiling and full of courage. "I learned from the best," Zara said softly. Outside, children played in the center's gardens. Inside, students worked on their projects. And somewhere in the city, other kids with special talents were being discovered, not to be exploited, but to be celebrated and supported. The empire built on greed and exploitation had fallen. In its place rose something better. Something built on kindness, justice, and the simple truth that every person, no matter how small or young, has the power to change the world. All it takes is the courage to fix what's broken and the wisdom to build something beautiful from the pieces. And as Zara turned off the lights in her workshop and headed home with her aunt and uncle, the emerald ring caught the last rays of sunlight. It sparkled like a promise kept, like hope made real, like the future shining bright and full of possibilities.